The story begins with a man in his late 30s, living a quiet and somewhat lonely life in a small town. He works as a librarian, a job he enjoys for its simplicity and the comfort of being surrounded by books. His days are predictable, and he has grown used to the rhythm of his life. But everything changes when he receives a package in the mail one afternoon. The return address catches his attention immediately. It's from his late grandmother, who passed away a few months ago. His grandmother had been a central figure in his life, especially after his parents divorced when he was young. She had raised him with love and patience, teaching him the value of kindness and the importance of curiosity. Her passing had left a void in his heart, and he still finds himself reaching for the phone to call her, only to remember she's no longer there. The package is small and wrapped in brown paper. Inside, he finds a notebook, its cover worn and slightly faded. A note is tucked inside the first page, written in his grandmother's familiar handwriting. It reads, "If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer there to tell you these things myself. But don't worry, my dear. This notebook holds everything you need to know. Take your time with it, and remember, life is full of surprises if you're willing to look for them." Curious and a little emotional, he opens the notebook. The first few pages are filled with his grandmother's thoughts, written in her gentle, flowing script. She writes about her life, her regrets, and her joys. But as he flips through the pages, he notices something unusual. Tucked between the pages are small, folded pieces of paper, letters, photographs, and even a few old receipts. Each one seems to have a story behind it. The first item he finds is a photograph of his grandmother as a young woman, standing in front of a cafe he doesn't recognize. On the back of the photo, she has written, "This is where it all began. If you want to know the truth, start here." Intrigued, he examines the photo more closely. The cafe looks charming, with a sign that reads, "The Starry Night," in elegant script. He wonders what connection this place could have to his grandmother's life, and to his own. As he continues reading, he learns that the cafe was where his grandmother met his grandfather for the first time. She describes the moment in vivid detail, the way the sunlight streamed through the windows, the smell of freshly baked bread, and the sound of laughter filling the air. It was a chance encounter, but one that changed the course of her life forever. But there's more to the story. His grandmother hints at a secret she kept for decades, something she never told anyone, not even her husband. She writes, "Some truths are hard to face, but they shape us in ways we can't always understand. I hope you'll forgive me for keeping this from you, but I believe it's time you knew." The man feels a mix of emotions, curiosity, confusion, and a little apprehension. What could his grandmother have hidden for so long? And why is she revealing it now, through this notebook? He decides to dig deeper, determined to uncover the truth. The next few pages of the notebook are filled with stories from his grandmother's early life. She writes about her dreams of becoming a writer, her struggles with self-doubt, and the sacrifices she made to build a life for her family. But there's one story that stands out, a tale of a lost love, someone she met before his grandfather. She describes this person as kind, passionate, and full of life, but their relationship was cut short by circumstances beyond their control. As he reads, the man begins to piece together a picture of his grandmother's life that he never knew existed. He realizes that she was more than just the loving, wise woman he knew. She was a person with her own dreams, regrets, and secrets. And now, through this notebook, she's inviting him to see her in a new light. By the end of the first part, the man is deeply engrossed in the notebook, eager to uncover more of his grandmother's story. He feels a strange sense of connection to her, as if she's guiding him through the pages. But he also senses that there's something bigger at play, something that could change the way he sees his own life. Little does he know, the notebook holds more than just stories, it holds the key to a mystery that will take him on a journey he never expected. And as he turns the page, he can't help but wonder what other surprises are waiting for him. The stage is set for a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. And as the man delves deeper into the notebook, he begins to realize that the past has a way of shaping the future in ways we can't always see. The man spends the next few days absorbed in the notebook, reading and rereading his grandmother's words. Each page feels like a conversation with her, as if she's sitting beside him, sharing her stories. He learns about her younger years, her dreams, and the choices that shaped her life. But it's the mystery of the cafe and the lost love that keeps him hooked. He can't shake the feeling that there's more to this story than what's written on the surface. One evening, as he's flipping through the notebook, he finds a folded letter tucked between the pages. It's addressed to his grandmother, written in a handwriting he doesn't recognize. The letter is old, the paper yellowed and fragile. Carefully, he unfolds it and begins to read. It's from the person his grandmother mentioned, the lost love. The letter is filled with emotion, talking about missed opportunities, unspoken feelings, and a love that never had the chance to fully bloom. The man's heart aches as he reads the words. He can feel the pain and longing in every sentence. The letter ends with a promise. No matter where life takes us, I'll always carry you in my heart. It's signed with a name he's never heard before. He wonders who this person was and what happened to them. Did they ever reunite? Or did life pull them apart forever? The notebook doesn't provide all the answers, but it does give him a clue. His grandmother writes about a small town a few hours away, a place she visited often in her youth. She mentions a park, a river, and a bridge where she used to sit and think. She writes, "If you want to understand the full story, go there. Walk the paths I walked, and maybe you'll find what I couldn't." The man is hesitant at first. He's never been one for adventures or chasing mysteries. But something about his grandmother's words stirs something inside him. He feels a pull, a need to uncover the truth. After a few days of thinking, he decides to take a trip to the town she mentioned. He packs a small bag, takes the notebook with him, and sets off early one morning. The drive is peaceful, the countryside rolling by in a blur of green and gold. As he gets closer to the town, he feels a strange sense of anticipation. When he arrives, he's struck by how charming it is. The streets are lined with old brick buildings, and the air smells of fresh bread and flowers. It's the kind of place that feels frozen in time, untouched by the rush of modern life. He finds the park his grandmother wrote about, a quiet spot by the river. The bridge she mentioned is still there, its wooden planks weathered but sturdy. He walks across it slowly, taking in the view. The water glistens in the sunlight, and the sound of birds fills the air. For a moment, he feels close to her, as if she's there with him, guiding his steps. As he explores the town, he starts asking questions. He shows the photograph of the cafe to a few locals, hoping someone might recognize it. Most people shake their heads, but one elderly woman pauses and studies the photo carefully. "That's the old Starry Night Cafe," she says. "It closed down years ago, but I remember it well. It was a lovely place, always full of life." The man's heart skips a beat. "Do you know what happened to it?" he asks. The woman nods. "The owner passed away, and no one took over. The building's still there, though. It's just sitting empty." She gives him directions, and he thanks her before heading off. The cafe is easy to find, its faded sign still hanging above the door. The windows are dusty, and the paint is peeling, but he can see why his grandmother loved it. There's a warmth to the place, even in its abandoned state. He walks around the building, trying to imagine what it must have been like in its heyday. He wonders if his grandmother and her lost love sat at one of the tables, sharing coffee and dreams. As he's about to leave, he notices something tucked under the doorstep, a small, weathered box. He picks it up and opens it carefully. Inside, he finds a stack of old letters, tied together with a ribbon. His hands tremble as he unties the ribbon and begins to read. The letters are from his grandmother, written to the person she loved. They're filled with her thoughts, her hopes, and her regrets. It's clear that she never sent them, but she kept them all these years. The man feels a lump in his throat as he reads. He realizes that his grandmother carried this love with her for the rest of her life, even after she married his grandfather. It wasn't a betrayal, it was just a part of her story, a chapter she never fully closed. He wonders if his grandfather knew, and if it mattered to him. As the sun begins to set, the man sits on the steps of the cafe, the letters in his hands. He feels a deep sense of connection to his grandmother, as if he's finally starting to understand her. But he also feels a sense of loss, not just for her, but for the love she never got to fully experience. He knows there's more to uncover, more pieces of the puzzle to find. But for now, he's content to sit there, surrounded by the echoes of the past. The notebook has brought him this far, and he trusts it will guide him the rest of the way. As he gets up to leave, he notices something written on the inside of the box's lid. It's a single line, in his grandmother's handwriting: "The truth is never simple, but it's always worth finding." With those words echoing in his mind, he heads back to his car, ready to continue the journey. The mystery is far from over, and he's determined to see it through. The man drives back to his small town, his mind buzzing with everything he's discovered. The letters from the cafe weigh heavily on him, not because they're sad, but because they're so full of life. They paint a picture of his grandmother as a young woman, full of dreams and emotions he never knew she had. He feels closer to her than ever, but also more determined to uncover the rest of her story. When he gets home, he spreads the letters out on his kitchen table, carefully arranging them in order. He reads them again, this time more slowly, savoring every word. His grandmother's voice comes through clearly, her hopes and fears laid bare on the page. She writes about her struggles to balance her dreams with the expectations of her family, her fear of disappointing those she loved, and her longing for a life that felt truly her own. One letter stands out. In it, she writes about a decision she had to make, a choice between the person she loved and the life she thought she was supposed to live. She describes the pain of letting go, the nights she spent crying, and the moments she wondered if she'd made the right choice. But she also writes about the love she found with his grandfather, the life they built together, and the joy she felt in raising her family. The man is struck by the complexity of her emotions. He realizes that life is rarely black and white, and that even the people we think we know best can have hidden depths. He wonders if his grandmother ever regretted her choices, or if she found peace in the life she lived. As he continues reading, he finds another clue. In one of the letters, his grandmother mentions a locket, a gift from her lost love. She writes, "I wore it every day, close to my heart, until I couldn't anymore. It's still out there, waiting to be found." The man's curiosity is piqued. He searches the notebook for more information about the locket, but there's nothing else written about it. He decides to call his mother, hoping she might know something. When he explains what he's found, she's quiet for a moment. "I remember that locket," she says finally. "Your grandmother used to wear it all the time when I was little. But one day, she just stopped. I never knew why." The man feels a surge of excitement. If the locket is still out there, it could be the key to unlocking the rest of his grandmother's story. He asks his mother if she knows where it might be, but she doesn't. "Your grandmother was a private person," she says. "If she wanted to keep something hidden, she did." Undeterred, the man decides to search his grandmother's house. She left it to him in her will, but he hasn't had the heart to go through her things yet. Now, with a purpose, he feels ready. He drives to her house, the familiar sight of it bringing a mix of comfort and sadness. Inside, everything is just as she left it. The furniture is neatly arranged, the shelves lined with books and trinkets. He starts in the living room, carefully going through drawers and cabinets. He finds old photographs, letters, and keepsakes, but no locket. He moves to the bedroom, where he finds her jewelry box. It's filled with rings, necklaces, and bracelets, but the locket isn't there. Just as he's about to give up, he notices a small, wooden box on the top shelf of her closet. It's tucked behind a stack of sweaters, as if she wanted to keep it hidden. He takes it down and opens it. Inside, he finds the locket. It's beautiful, a delicate silver heart on a thin chain. He opens it carefully, and inside he finds two tiny photographs. One is of his grandmother as a young woman, smiling brightly. The other is of a man he doesn't recognize, her lost love. The man feels a lump in his throat as he holds the locket. It's a tangible piece of his grandmother's past, a symbol of a love that never faded. He wonders why she kept it hidden, why she never told anyone about it. But as he looks at the photographs, he realizes that some things are too personal to share, even with those we love. He decides to wear the locket, feeling a strange sense of connection to his grandmother and the man she loved. As he leaves the house, he notices something he hadn't seen before, a small, framed photograph on the wall. It's of his grandmother and grandfather, standing in front of the cafe. They're smiling, their arms around each other. On the back of the frame, his grandmother has written, "Sometimes love finds you when you least expect it." The man feels a sense of peace as he looks at the photograph. He realizes that his grandmother's story isn't just about loss, it's about love in all its forms. The love she had for her lost love, the love she found with his grandfather, and the love she had for her family. It's a reminder that life is messy and complicated, but also beautiful. As he drives home, he thinks about his own life. He spent so much time alone, content with his quiet routine. But now, he wonders if he's been hiding from something, from the possibility of love, of connection. His grandmother's notebook has opened his eyes to the importance of taking chances, of being open to the unexpected. When he gets home, he sits down with the notebook again, ready to continue the journey. He knows there's more to discover, more of his grandmother's story to uncover. But for now, he's content to hold the locket in his hand, feeling its weight and the history it carries. The mystery isn't over, but he's no longer afraid of what he might find. He knows that whatever comes next, it's all part of the story, a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. The man wakes up the next morning with the locket still around his neck. It feels strange at first, carrying a piece of his grandmother's past so close to his heart. But as the day goes on, he grows used to its weight, even finding comfort in it. He decides to take the day off work, feeling that he needs more time to process everything he's discovered. He spends the morning rereading parts of the notebook, looking for any clues he might have missed. One passage catches his attention. His grandmother writes about a journal she kept during her younger years, a place where she poured out her thoughts and dreams. She mentions hiding it in a place that was special to her, somewhere no one would think to look. The man's curiosity is immediately sparked. Could this journal hold the answers to the questions he still has? He thinks about the places his grandmother loved, her garden, the library, the old oak tree in the backyard. But none of them feel quite right. Then he remembers something she used to say, the best hiding places are the ones in plain sight. He wonders if the journal could be somewhere obvious, a place he's overlooked. He starts his search in the living room, going through bookshelves and cabinets. He finds old photo albums, cookbooks, and even a few of his childhood drawings, but no journal. He moves to the kitchen, where his grandmother spent so much of her time. He checks the drawers and cupboards, but again, he finds nothing. Just as he's about to give up, he notices something unusual about the coffee table. It's an old, sturdy piece of furniture, one that's been in the house for as long as he can remember. He kneels down and examines it more closely. There's a small, almost invisible seam along the edge. He runs his fingers over it and feels a slight give. With a bit of effort, he pries it open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, he finds the journal. It's a simple notebook, its cover worn and its pages yellowed with age. He opens it carefully, feeling a mix of excitement and reverence. The first page is dated over 50 years ago, and the handwriting is his grandmother's, though younger and less steady. He begins to read, and immediately, he's drawn into her world. She writes about her dreams of becoming a writer, her struggles with self-doubt, and her longing for a life beyond the small town where she grew up. She writes about meeting the man she loved, the one whose photograph is in the locket. She describes their time together in vivid detail, the walks by the river, the conversations that lasted late into the night, the way he made her feel seen and understood. But she also writes about the obstacles they faced. Her family didn't approve of the relationship, and neither did his. They came from different worlds, and the pressure to conform was too much. She writes about the day they decided to part ways, the pain of saying goodbye, and the years that followed. The man is struck by the raw emotion in her words. He can feel her heartbreak, her longing, and her resilience. He realizes that his grandmother was so much more than the wise, loving woman he knew. She was a person with her own struggles, her own dreams, and her own heartaches. As he reads further, he finds something unexpected. His grandmother writes about a child, a baby she had with the man she loved. She describes the joy of holding her child for the first time, the love she felt, and the heartbreak of having to give the baby up for adoption. She writes, "It was the hardest decision I ever made, but I knew it was the right one. I wanted my child to have a better life, one I couldn't give them at the time." The man feels a lump in his throat as he reads. He had no idea his grandmother had a child before his mother. He wonders what happened to that child, if they ever knew the truth about their parents. He feels a sudden urge to find them, to connect with this part of his family that he never knew existed. He continues reading, hoping for more clues. His grandmother writes about how she kept the locket as a reminder of the love she lost and the child she had to let go. She writes about finding love again with his grandfather, and how he helped her heal. But she also writes about the guilt she carried, the secret she kept for so many years. The man closes the journal, feeling overwhelmed. He realizes that his grandmother's story is far more complex than he ever imagined. He feels a deep sense of respect for her, for the strength it must have taken to carry such a heavy burden. But he also feels a sense of responsibility, to honor her memory by uncovering the rest of her story. He decides to start by looking for records of the adoption. He knows it won't be easy, but he's determined to try. He spends the rest of the day researching online, looking for any information that might help. He finds a few leads, but nothing concrete. As the sun sets, he sits at his kitchen table, the journal and the locket in front of him. He feels a mix of emotions, sadness, curiosity, and hope. He knows that the journey ahead won't be easy, but he's ready to take the next step. He picks up the locket and holds it in his hand, feeling its weight and the history it carries. He thinks about his grandmother, about the love she lost and the love she found. He thinks about the child she had to let go, and the life they might have lived. And he thinks about his own life, and the choices he's made. For the first time in a long time, he feels a sense of purpose. He knows that whatever comes next, it's all part of the story, a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. The man spends the next few days diving deeper into his search. He contacts local archives, adoption agencies, and even hires a private investigator to help him piece together the story of his grandmother's first child. It's a slow process, filled with dead ends and frustrating delays, but he refuses to give up. Every time he feels like quitting, he looks at the locket or reads a passage from the journal, and it renews his determination. One afternoon, he receives a call from the private investigator. "I think I've found something," the investigator says. "There's a woman living about 3 hours from here who matches the description you gave me. Her name is Clara, and she was adopted around the same time your grandmother mentioned in her journal. Would you like me to reach out to her?" The man's heart races. This could be it, the missing piece of the puzzle. But he's also nervous. What if Clara doesn't want to be found? What if she's angry or upset by his sudden appearance in her life? He takes a deep breath and tells the investigator to hold off. He wants to be the one to make contact. He spends the next few days preparing what he'll say. He writes and rewrites a letter, trying to find the right words. He wants to be honest but gentle, to explain who he is and why he's reaching out without overwhelming her. Finally, he settles on a simple, heartfelt message. He includes a copy of the photograph from the locket, hoping it will help her understand the connection they share. When the letter is ready, he drives to Clara's town. He finds her address and stands outside her house for a long time, gathering his courage. Finally, he walks up to the door and slips the letter into her mailbox. He doesn't wait for a response, he knows this is something she'll need time to process. The drive home feels endless. His mind is racing with questions and possibilities. What if she doesn't respond? What if she does? He tries to prepare himself for any outcome, but the uncertainty is overwhelming. A week passes with no word. He starts to lose hope, wondering if he made a mistake. But then, one evening, his phone rings. It's an unknown number. He answers hesitantly, his heart pounding. "Hello?" a woman's voice says. "This is Clara. I got your letter." The man's breath catches. He stumbles over his words at first, but soon they're talking easily. Clara sounds kind and curious, and she's eager to learn more about her birth parents. She tells him that she always knew she was adopted, but she never had much information about her biological family. His letter has answered questions she's had her entire life. They agree to meet in person. Clara suggests a small cafe in her town, a neutral place where they can talk comfortably. The man agrees, and they set a date for the following weekend. The days leading up to the meeting are a blur of emotions. He feels excited, nervous, and hopeful all at once. He brings the journal and the locket with him, wanting to share everything he's learned. When the day finally arrives, he drives to the cafe early, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Clara is already there when he arrives. She's sitting at a corner table, a cup of coffee in front of her. She looks up as he approaches, and he's struck by how much she resembles his grandmother. There's something in her eyes, in the way she smiles, that feels familiar. They sit down together, and for a moment, neither of them speaks. Then Clara breaks the silence. "Thank you for reaching out," she says. "I've always wondered about my birth parents, but I never thought I'd get the chance to meet someone who knew them." The man nods, feeling a lump in his throat. He pulls out the journal and the locket and begins to tell her the story. He talks about his grandmother, about the love she had for Clara's father, and the difficult decision she made to give her up for adoption. He reads passages from the journal, sharing his grandmother's thoughts and feelings in her own words. Clara listens quietly, her eyes filling with tears. When he finishes, she reaches out and takes the locket, holding it gently in her hands. "I can't believe she kept this all these years," she says softly. "It's like a piece of her is still here." They talk for hours, sharing stories and memories. Clara tells him about her life, her family, and the questions she's always had. The man feels a deep sense of connection to her, as if they've known each other for years. By the time they leave the cafe, they've made plans to stay in touch and to visit their grandmother's house together. As he drives home that evening, the man feels a sense of peace he hasn't felt in a long time. He knows that his grandmother's story isn't over, it's still being written, through him and through Clara. He thinks about the love she carried with her all those years, and the way it's brought them together now. He knows there's more to uncover, more of the story to explore. But for now, he's content to hold on to the locket, to feel its weight and the history it carries. He knows that whatever comes next, it's all part of the journey, a journey of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. The man and Clara stay in close contact after their first meeting. They exchange emails and phone calls, sharing stories and memories. Clara is eager to learn more about her birth parents, and the man is happy to help her piece together the puzzle. They decide to visit their grandmother's house together, hoping to find more clues about the past. When the day arrives, the man picks Clara up from her home. They drive to the small town where their grandmother lived, the familiar streets bringing back a flood of memories for him. Clara is quiet during the drive, taking in the scenery and the significance of the journey. When they arrive at the house, they sit in the car for a moment, both feeling the weight of the moment. "Are you ready?" the man asks. Clara nods. "I think so." They step inside the house, and the man gives Clara a tour. He shows her the living room, the kitchen, and the bedroom where their grandmother spent so much of her time. Clara is quiet, taking it all in. When they reach the bedroom, the man shows her the hidden compartment in the coffee table where he found the journal. Clara runs her fingers over the seam, marveling at the secret their grandmother kept for so many years. They spend the next few hours going through the house together, searching for anything that might shed more light on their grandmother's story. They find old photographs, letters, and keepsakes, each one adding a new layer to the story. Clara is particularly drawn to a box of old clothes, finding a dress that belonged to their grandmother. She holds it up, imagining her wearing it. "It's strange," Clara says. "I never knew her, but I feel so connected to her." The man nods. "I know what you mean. It's like she's here with us, guiding us." As they continue their search, they find something unexpected, a small, locked box tucked away in the back of a closet. The man tries to open it, but it's sealed shut. He looks at Clara, who shrugs. "Maybe there's a key somewhere." They search the house for the key, but they can't find it. Finally, the man decides to try picking the lock. It takes a few tries, but eventually, the box opens. Inside, they find a stack of letters, tied together with a ribbon. The man recognizes the handwriting immediately. It's their grandmother's. He unties the ribbon and begins to read. The letters are addressed to Clara's father, the man their grandmother loved. They're filled with her thoughts and feelings, her hopes and dreams. She writes about the child they had together, the love she still feels for him, and the life she wishes they could have shared. Clara reads the letters over his shoulder, her eyes filling with tears. "I can't believe she kept all this," she says softly. "It's like she's speaking to us from the past." The man feels a lump in his throat as he reads. He realizes that his grandmother carried this love with her all her life, even after she married his grandfather. It wasn't a betrayal, it was just a part of her story, a chapter she never fully closed. He wonders if his grandfather knew, and if it mattered to him. As they continue reading, they find something that changes everything. In one of the letters, their grandmother writes about a promise she made to Clara's father, a promise to one day reunite their family. She writes, "I know it's been years, but I still believe in us. I still believe that one day, we'll find each other again." The man and Clara look at each other, both feeling the weight of the words. They realize that their grandmother's story isn't just about the past, it's about the future, about the connections that endure through time and distance. They feel a deep sense of responsibility to honor her memory by continuing the journey she started. They decide to try to find Clara's father, to see if he's still alive and if he's willing to meet them. It's a long shot, but they feel it's worth a try. They spend the next few days researching, looking for any information that might help. They find a few leads, but nothing concrete. Just as they're about to give up, they receive a call from the private investigator. "I think I've found him," the investigator says. "His name is James, and he's living in a small town a few hours from here. Would you like me to reach out to him?" The man and Clara exchange a look. This could be it, the missing piece of the puzzle. But they're also nervous. What if James doesn't want to be found? What if he's angry or upset by their sudden appearance in his life? They take a deep breath and tell the investigator to hold off. They want to be the ones to make contact. They spend the next few days preparing what they'll say. They write and rewrite a letter, trying to find the right words. They want to be honest but gentle, to explain who they are and why they're reaching out without overwhelming him. Finally, they settle on a simple, heartfelt message. They include a copy of the photograph from the locket, hoping it will help him understand the connection they share. When the letter is ready, they drive to James's town. They find his address and stand outside his house for a long time, gathering their courage. Finally, they walk up to the door and slip the letter into his mailbox. They don't wait for a response, they know this is something he'll need time to process. The drive home feels endless. Their minds are racing with questions and possibilities. What if he doesn't respond? What if he does? They try to prepare themselves for any outcome, but the uncertainty is overwhelming. A week passes with no word. They start to lose hope, wondering if they made a mistake. But then, one evening, the man's phone rings. It's an unknown number. He answers hesitantly, his heart pounding. "Hello?" a man's voice says. "This is James. I got your letter." The man's breath catches. He stumbles over his words at first, but soon they're talking easily. James sounds kind and curious, and he's eager to learn more about the family he never knew he had. He tells them that he always wondered about the woman he loved and the child they had together, but he never had much information. Their letter has answered questions he's had his entire life. They agree to meet in person. James suggests a small park in his town, a neutral place where they can talk comfortably. The man and Clara agree, and they set a date for the following weekend. The days leading up to the meeting are a blur of emotions. They feel excited, nervous, and hopeful all at once. They bring the journal and the locket with them, wanting to share everything they've learned. When the day finally arrives, they drive to the park early, their hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. James is already there when they arrive. He's sitting on a bench, looking out at the trees. He looks up as they approach, and they're struck by how much he resembles the photograph in the locket. There's something in his eyes, in the way he smiles, that feels familiar. They sit down together, and for a moment, no one speaks. Then James breaks the silence. "Thank you for reaching out," he says. "I've always wondered about you, but I never thought I'd get the chance to meet you." The man and Clara nod, feeling a lump in their throats. They pull out the journal and the locket and begin to tell him the story. They talk about their grandmother, about the love she had for him, and the difficult decision she made to give Clara up for adoption. They read passages from the journal, sharing her thoughts and feelings in her own words. James listens quietly, his eyes filling with tears. When they finish, he reaches out and takes the locket, holding it gently in his hands. "I can't believe she kept this all these years," he says softly. "It's like a piece of her is still here." They talk for hours, sharing stories and memories. James tells them about his life, his family, and the questions he's always had. The man and Clara feel a deep sense of connection to him, as if they've known each other for years. By the time they leave the park, they've made plans to stay in touch and to visit their grandmother's house together. As they drive home that evening, the man and Clara feel a sense of peace they haven't felt in a long time. They know that their grandmother's story isn't over, it's still being written, through them and through James. They think about the love she carried with her all those years, and the way it's brought them together now. They know there's more to uncover, more of the story to explore. But for now, they're content to hold on to the locket, to feel its weight and the history it carries. They know that whatever comes next, it's all part of the journey, a journey of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. The man, Clara, and James continue to build their relationship in the weeks that follow. They meet regularly, sharing meals, stories, and memories. The man is struck by how easily they fall into a rhythm, as if they've always been a family. Clara and James, too, seem to find comfort in each other's presence, their shared history creating an unbreakable bond. One weekend, they decide to visit their grandmother's house together. It's a bittersweet moment, walking through the familiar rooms with James, who is seeing it for the first time. They show him the hidden compartment in the coffee table, the journal, and the locket. James holds the locket in his hands, his eyes misty as he looks at the photograph inside. "I can't believe she kept this all these years," he says softly. "It's like she never let go." The man nods. "She carried you both with her, in her heart. Even if she couldn't be with you, she never stopped loving you." They spend the day going through the house, sharing stories and memories. James tells them about his life, the choices he made, and the family he built. He talks about the love he had for their grandmother, and the pain of losing her. But he also talks about the joy of finding them, of finally having answers to the questions he's carried for so long. As they sit together in the living room, the man feels a deep sense of peace. He realizes that his grandmother's story isn't just about the past, it's about the present, and the future. It's about the connections that endure through time and distance, and the love that binds them together. They decide to hold a small ceremony at the house, to honor their grandmother's memory and the love she carried with her. They invite a few close friends and family members, people who knew and loved her. The man reads passages from the journal, sharing her thoughts and feelings in her own words. Clara and James share their own memories, their voices filled with emotion. As the ceremony ends, they release balloons into the sky, each one carrying a message to their grandmother. The man watches as the balloons drift away, feeling a sense of closure. He knows that his grandmother's story will always be a part of him, but he also knows that it's time to let go, to move forward with the family he's found. In the months that follow, the man, Clara, and James continue to build their relationship. They spend holidays together, celebrate milestones, and create new memories. The man feels a sense of fulfillment he hasn't felt in years, knowing that he's honoring his grandmother's memory by keeping her story alive. One evening, as they sit together in the man's living room, Clara turns to him. "Do you think she knew?" she asks. "Do you think she knew that we'd find each other?" The man thinks for a moment. "I think she hoped," he says finally. "I think she believed in the power of love, and the connections that endure through time. And I think she'd be happy to see us together, to know that her story brought us here." James nods. "She'd be proud of us," he says. "Proud of the family we've become." The man feels a lump in his throat as he looks at them. He knows that his grandmother's story isn't just about the past, it's about the present, and the future. It's about the love that binds them together, and the connections that endure through time and distance. As they sit together, the man feels a deep sense of gratitude. He's grateful for the notebook, for the locket, and for the journey they've taken together. He's grateful for the family he's found, and for the love that brought them together. And as he looks at Clara and James, he knows that his grandmother's story will always be a part of them. It's a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. And it's a story that will continue to be written, through them and through the generations to come. The man picks up the locket, feeling its weight and the history it carries. He knows that whatever comes next, it's all part of the journey, a journey of love, loss, and the enduring power of family. And he knows that, no matter what, they'll face it together. As the evening fades into night, they sit together, sharing stories and memories. The man feels a deep sense of peace, knowing that his grandmother's story has brought them here. And as he looks at Clara and James, he knows that their story is just beginning. The notebook, the locket, and the journey they've taken together have changed everything. And as they sit together, the man knows that the best is yet to come.